Mover Nation, happy Thursday. It's a show that is making some technical changes, which are going to be coming up next week. I'm very excited, which is what has sort of delayed me today. I also am getting some really great news that I'm going to have some really cool and exciting guests on the show too, which I'm very excited to share with you guys, but not quite today. But in the next coming weeks, I've got a really cool stable of people coming through that I'm very, very excited about. So this will be probably after I get back from CrimeCon, but nonetheless, it's going to be really exciting for you guys. Welcome, Mover Nation. What's going on? It is my Thursday Thoughts episode wrapped up with a little bit of like what is going on in the world of true crime. And guess what? Of course, Letters from Prison, back, of course, by popular demand. I know you guys all love those. I got a few interesting ones today. So without further ado, this is who I am. Let's get into it.
Testimony continued today in the most notorious criminal trial in
When I was 12 years old, my testimony sent my father to prison for murdering my mother. This podcast serves as a type of therapy and reconciliation for myself, and it is my hope that it helps anyone who has experienced deception, betrayal, and dark trauma. I'm Collier Landry, and this is Moving Past Trauma.
Shout out to Lena Beautiful, 5-month member of the channel. Thank you so much. Your support is so greatly appreciated. Very, very awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Welcome everybody. It has been a very interesting week, and like I said, I'm making a few technical changes to the show, which I am very, very excited about, and which are like really long overdue. But hopefully, I'll be able to incorporate really cool music underlaying me and all kinds of stuff. And it's been very hard to incorporate some of the elements that I'd love to incorporate in the show, just due to technical limitations on this current platform that I'm on. So I'm very excited about that. I should also probably try to make it a little brighter. It's a little dark. By the way, for those of you that are curious, my back still really, really hurts. It is getting slightly better. I'm noticing how dark I am in this shot. It is, I woke up this morning and I thought, okay, and I've been doing this heat and ice and a little bit of massage from this little contraption, and it's been really, really good, but it still hurts. It's still quite painful. But I think I figured out the source of my back problem due to my knee injury that happened a few months ago. And I think I've been overcompensating. For those of you that know about these things, usually one injury is caused by another overcompensation, et cetera, et cetera. So I think my core was trying to stabilize myself when I work out. So that's all the news is fit to print in my life, in my current situation. I want to say a big congratulations to my adopted father, George, because I got literally a message about 10 minutes ago of a photograph, and I am going to pull it up to share with all of you. I got a message with a photograph of an award that was just won today. And let's see how I'm going to do this. You guys should check this out because it's pretty cool. There was an award that was won, and this award is the blue ribbon. So my adopted father George has been doing honey, and he won the honey today, the blue ribbon prize at the Belleville, Ohio Fair. He won the prize today, the blue ribbon. So for his honey, and the last time I was back in Ohio, I was able to see his beekeeping. It was about a year ago. The bees were out in full force. In fact, I have photos of those. I'm going to go ahead and remove this from the stream temporarily while I find them. So he's got this very impressive little honey making operation going on in Ohio. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So I got to check that out last year firsthand. And let's see, now that I can share this this screen. All right. They're gonna kill me, by the way, I'm sure. So this is George and Susan, and if you guys probably recognize them from the documentary they were in. This is my little nephew Logan, who is well, he's now 12. 12. Yes, wow, they grow fast, don't they? No, he's 11, almost 12. Sorry, they grow fast. Let me find these bees because they're really, really cool. I gotta share. Anyways, big shout out to him because yeah, here's the beehive. Yeah, okay. This is cool. All right. So this is the beehive off in the distance there. And all the bees and then the hay and whatnot. And there's a close-up of the actual beehive where the honey came from. And this is, I think, I got kind of close to the bees. Now, for those of you that are scared of bees, don't be, because real bees, see, yeah, here we go. Yep, there's all the bees going. It's absolutely fabulous. Oh, there we are. There you have it. There's the there's the beehive for the prize-winning honey. There you go. So, congratulations to George Ziegler on his blue ribbon win at the Belleville Fair for his prize-winning honey. I remember when he started doing this, he was messaging me and he was saying, "Can you send me samples of California honey? Because we have really good honey here in California." And so I would send him some and brought some back. And yeah, he's very into the honey. And yes, and backyard beekeeping is definitely something that exists also in Los Angeles. I used to live in a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood, and it is a cottage industry to have beehives in your backyard. And for those of you, and I know this is way off tangent, but what we're talking about, but I did a documentary years ago on bees, and I traveled to Yuma, Arizona. This woman worked at the National Bee Laboratory. Yes, there is such a thing. And she was a longtime beekeeper. It was a very interesting scenario, but she was one of the world's foremost experts on bees and honey. And one of the things that I learned is that bees do not want to sting you, so never be afraid of bees. Now, that does not include yellow jackets. So yellow jackets, which I have been stung by, in a very crazy story, which my first experience at my school when I was a child in Ohio. I'll tell that another day. But yellow jackets are wasps. That's why they can sting you multiple times. Bees can only sting you once, and then their guts get pulled out with the stinger and they die. So bees do not want to sting you unless you're directly threatening the queen or the hive itself, which is the queen, right? And I think we've all seen, there's this girl who's on TikTok and Instagram, who's a beekeeper who literally does it without gloves and a mask and everything. Bees don't want to sting you. But what I did learn is, because I was filming this documentary, the camera was black and they were very fascinated with me. And I was a little I'm a little nervous. And I was wearing a bee screen thing because they were like, but they're not going to hurt you. But the woman who was the expert on bees explained to me that bees do not when you have black, anything that's black, and that's why they buzz around you. Black means bear, because bears are their primary threats. Winnie the Pooh, honey, black bears eat honey, right? So they take down their necks. So anytime they see the color black, they're always, they won't necessarily attack it, but they buzz around it, because bees are really intuitive and they send signals and vibrations and all kinds of stuff with their little antenna, and they communicate with one another. It's why they call it hive mind and things of that nature. And so they're always checking you out. So if you're wearing black at a backyard barbecue or whatever, and bees are around you, that's why, because nature tells them that black is a threat. They won't sting you because they don't want to sting you unless you attack them or unless they feel you're a threat to the hive. So just a fun little tip. Bees are your friends, and if you see them, don't kill them. They're your friends. And honey is good for all of us. That is our nature channel note. That is our nature channel moment of the day on the podcast. I see some super stickers. Thank you so much, Karen Isabel Stewart. Thank you very, very much for the super sticker. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Kathleen Welsh, for your generosity. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all my channel members, subscribers that are all here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And, another one. Thank you, Gen X Granny. Thanks for all you do. I love the awesome community you've built. Hashtag Mover Nation. Thank you very much. It's very interesting because last year when I started doing the podcast, I started saying, "Hey, movers." I thought, oh, this is kind of silly. I don't really like this. Movers, like I'm thinking of like people that move, because moving is like not one of my favorite activities. I don't really think anyone chalks up moving to their favorite activities at all, but I am one of those people that doesn't do that. And I will be, unfortunately, because I have a pickup truck, I will be helping a friend move later on this month. That's why the back needs to heal. But yeah, moving is not fun. So every time I think of movers, but now mover has a great connotation, and we have Mover Nation, and you are all movers, and all of my Mover Nation family. So thank you all very much. I'm just going to run through these little super stickers again because it's kind of cool, kind of fun. Anyways, what are we talking about? Hello from South Africa, says Julie Nell. Thank you so much, Julie, and welcome. Get a physical therapy. I think you're saying that for the back. Yeah, I've been doing lots. Like I said, rest, heat, ice. I have not been very active at the gym at all. I started swimming again because that's been loosening the back up. But yeah, the back. Oh boy, yeah. I thought I was over those days, but clearly. Hello from Texas. Hello, Sherry Williams. How are you? That will do it. Feet can do it too. Yeah, I'm sure. And I always have this. I've had this very bad habit of lately. Well, not lately, like the entirety of my life, putting my shoes on but not tying them. Now, not when I would work out or run or anything like that, but just going outside for a quick walk and just slide my shoes on. And I thought that was really, really stupid. I should always do that because you need to have proper support and whatever. I'm not here to lecture on that. But yes, and thank you all for the support of my father's honey, George Ziegler. Congratulations again to the Blue Ribbon at the Belleville Fair, which the Belleville Street Fair, I found out, is in its 178th year in Belleville, Ohio. So how about that? I think it is the longest running street fair in the United States. So there you go. A little bit of historical updates in today's podcast episode as well. So on you never know what you're going to get when you come to this channel, by the way, because you know what? I never know what I'm going to say, pretty much. So that's what happens. Okay, so live reaction to letters from prison. I have some of my letters that I pulled out of the archive. For those of you that are longtime members or longtime listeners, you know that I have about 500 of my father's letters, and I read them on the podcast because it seems to help a lot of people. And it's always a fun little trip down memory lane for me to go through them with you guys and remember those good old times. But a lot of people find these letters really helpful. A lot of you guys do, because it exposes, a lot of us unfortunately have dealt with a lot of trauma in our lives and have dealt with people who are narcissistic or narcissists in general, narcissistic parents, or come from very, estranged backgrounds, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of you guys find solace in what I share. So that's why I continue to do it. And I think it's good. And it's always a lesson to me. Wow, this is, that was from Flores when I lived in West Hollywood. Wow, those are the, geez, sorry about that. So yeah, I share that for all of us. So one of the things that I discovered as I was pulling these out, literally, what is it? We're into 14 minutes in live stream, 16 minutes ago, is I found this, and I'm gonna have to put my glasses on, which sucks, but my little $5 readers from Amazon. Well, I think they're 5 for $12. So this is this is entitled, are they dirty? Welcome to the spring 2005 edition of Getting to Know Your Family and Friends. Now, this was obviously a little game that they played at the prison to share with family and friends. And look, I do poke a little bit of fun at this because this is my situation. And I'm allowed to. But things like this actually are really nice to have to look back and reflect on. If people have a loved one that is incarcerated and there's things that they don't know, I mean, let's face it, there are a lot of kids that have fathers or mothers that are incarcerated, or maybe even both, which is really unfortunate. So getting to know some things and questions that they might not really ask, because when you think about it, if you go to a prison to visit a loved one, you don't get a lot of time to spend with them. So questions that you might have that are really burning, and to a lot of people, it's a real privilege to be able to go see that loved one in prison, because you have to have the means to do so. You have to have the availability to do so. And you have to have, it's a time commitment. You have to go through security clearance, et cetera, et cetera. The prisoner has to be on good behavior so they can receive you. A lot of stars have to align to go to a prison visitation. It's not just like you can walk right in and say hi. It's not like that. And if you haven't experienced it, it's a lot to deal with. So I do think that activities like this, when an inmate shares, in this little funny little question and answer type of thing, they're, as much as I make fun of it because it is my father and it is a relationship and that he destroyed, it's also a wonderful thing for people to have as a record. I look back on this and I'm sure I'll get a laugh out of it, and I'm sure I'll find some endearing moments in it as well. When I go through it, it is really nice to have. And it is nice that if the prisons do this for the children and things, that they can get to know a parent. Because again, when you're in a prison situation, you have a visitation, you have a limited amount of time, you might not ask those important questions that you really want to know. Like, hey, where are you from? What is your favorite color? What is your favorite food when you were on the outside, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all things that you got to think about. There's a lot of complexities that I've learned about, enter diatribe, by the way. There's a lot of complexities that one goes through when you have a parent who is incarcerated, or you have a family member. And there are a lot of things that you take for granted, right? With having access to people. If you have constant access to people, we all know this. We take advantage of, or we take that for granted. Not take it. Some people take advantage of it, but we take that for granted, right? And I think that when you don't have those moments, and those moments are few and far between, you try to cram a lot in. So again, some of these questions might be falling by the wayside, but it is something that is good, and I'm glad that prisons do this. So in no way, and it's a roundabout say, I'm not mocking the prison system for doing this. I think it's actually a really, really good thing. And kids who have gotten to know a parent this way from these little Q&As and little cutesy things they do, it might actually, it does actually help them grow stronger and feel like that adult or that person is in their life, that parent is in their life, that son or daughter is in their life. It's good. It's a good thing. So I don't want to be construed that I think that I'm making light of this. I'm just making light of my own situation, which I'm completely entitled to do. I think everyone would agree. Welcome to the spring 2005 edition of Getting to Know Your Family and Friends. What you are supposed to do is copy, not forward, this entire email and paste it into a new email that you'll send. Change all the answers so that they apply to you, and then send this to a whole bunch of people, including the person who sent it to you. The theory is that you will learn a lot of things, a lot of little things about your family and friends if you did not know them already. First, what time did you get up this morning? 5:15 a.m. for the 5:30 a.m. showers. 2, diamonds or pearls? This is the one that caught me off guard. Diamonds or pearls? Diamonds. In the rough. They show you their potential. What was the last film you saw at the cinema? In-house channel, Flight of the Phoenix. Ugh. What is your favorite TV show? The McLaughlin Report. Father John is wild as ever. So I have no idea what that is. I'm assuming that is some sort of religious channel that must be on the prison. What did you have for breakfast? Peanut butter sandwich. Now, ironically, so my father and I both share a mutual love of peanut butter. Peanut butter is one of my favorite foods. I love it. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm a peanut butter fanatic. And yes, I really, really am. What is your favorite color? Blue. Always like the blue cotton button-down Oxford cloth shirts. What is your favorite CD at the moment? Don't have any CDs or a CD player. What kind of car do you drive? In my dreams, 1967 Ford Cobra Daytona Coupe at 24-degree Milan's Raceway, eating Ferraris on the back stretch. The car won the 1967 Le Mans race. 12. Favorite sandwich? Gino's cheesesteak with mozzarella, with wit and inside out, which is cherry peppers, a Coke, and a tasty cake lemon pie. Now that's Italian. Of course, eating it on the corner of 9th and Passyunk, waiting for Rocky to jog past me. So this is a reference. So my entire family is from Philadelphia. So this is a reference to Gino's Steaks, which is in Philadelphia. So usually you belong to one of two camps. And I had Dr. Z psychologist, Dr. Jamie Zuckerman on here a few weeks ago, and she's also from Philadelphia. So we debated Geno's and Pat's, and so my father loved Geno's steaks. My mother loved Pat's steaks growing up. I didn't like either. I still don't like either. I like I like a place called Eagle Pizza, which is in the main line in Bryn Mawr, Ardmore area. So that is my thing. The last time I was in Philadelphia, which is right after they won the Super Bowl a few years back. I did have both Pat's and Geno's and another place. And I'm not a cheese whiz person. I think that's really, really gross. Also, Tasty Cakes are a Philadelphia. For those of you who don't know, they're like a Hostess or a version of like Hostess or Little Debbie. And I would get excited when I would see Tasty Cakes. And so my father would eat the lemon. They have little hand pies, if you know what those are. And my father liked the lemon ones. My mom liked the butterscotch crumpet ones, which were like little frosted cakes. I mean, they're terrible for you, but they're also it's one of those things that reminds you of your childhood. When you bite into it, it's like, oh, this is childhood. A childhood lost or a childhood rediscovered. I don't know. One of the things when I moved to California is I discovered that they sold Tasty Cakes in some grocery stores here in Orange County, and I got very, very excited. That was 20 years ago, and it has been a very long time since. I think I have not had a Tasty Cake in probably like at least 3 or 4 years. Not that I eat a lot of junk anyways. But Katie Cakes, thank you so much. New member. Welcome to Mover Nation. Mover Nation welcomes you. Thank you so much. Getting back to the or the Q&A. So okay, this will be interesting. So this is very interesting. Number 13, what characteristic do you despise? Hubris. Unfortunately, I am guilty of this characteristic from time to time. It's in the genes, you know? Well, okay. Hubris. That's interesting. No, it is not in the genes. That has somehow missed me, primarily because my father suffered very heavily from it. There's not anything more, a better example of hubris than someone thinking they're smarter than the police and burying a body in the basement of their own home after killing their wife. But nothing screams hubris more than that. However, interesting that he admitted that he wrote that here. Because I've never, like I said, so when I pull these out, like I'm reading them for the first time in forever with you guys. So we are experiencing this together as one. Favorite item of clothing: sweaters, Izod shirts, Gap jackets. Yes, I would think that. Yeah, my father wore Izods and sweaters, and my parents were both very preppy, so they were into that type of thing. I am a t-shirt and leather jacket and jeans guy with cool Nikes or boots. That is my sort of thing. Although I was looking at like button down shirts the other day because I was like, maybe I should wear those on the podcast for you guys. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Uh, if you number 15, if you could go anywhere in the world on vacation, where would you go? Israel again, he says. I have never been to Israel. My friend actually just got back from there and he had a wonderful time. I would love to see Israel myself. I believe my father, he claims he studied the Technion. I don't know if that's true or not. What is the color of your bathroom? Pale green. The color has been there since the 50s, so who knows what the original color was. Favorite brand of clothing? Joseph A. Banks. I was introduced to them when I was 19. Joseph A. Banks. Are they still in business? I remember my father has a lot of Joseph A. Banks suits, which I have custody of. They're in a box somewhere. Not a lot of them. I think I have like one or maybe two. Where would you retire to? Rome/Jerusalem/Paris. Do they have beaches? I don't believe so. I think the only beach in France that I know of is in Biarritz, right? Or I guess Monaco, right? Yeah, a very interesting little questionnaire. Favorite time of the day? Number 19, favorite time of the day, when I can sit back for a breather. Early afternoon is my best. What was your most memorable birthday? It will always, always in bold letters, be at the Jolly Pirate Inn with, quote, Bug. Now, that is a reference to my mother. So his most memorable birthday was with my mother at the Jolly Pirate Inn, which I don't know where that is. I'm assuming that's in Philadelphia. My mother had a VW Bug, I believe, but he called her Bug sometimes. I don't know. This is a very convoluted sort of question or answer. This is, I mean, I don't really know how to describe this, but it's interesting that is his most memorable birthday. 21, where were you born? South Philadelphia. 22, favorite sport to watch. I don't have the patience for any of them, but I will tune into something the last few minutes to see what happens. Interesting, because I'm kind of the same way. So there might be a trait, but I do sometimes watch. Well, I mean, I'll watch sports while I'm doing work a lot of times, if I can. 23, who do you least expect to send this back to you? And it says, good question. Person you expect to send it, number 24, person you expect to send it back first. Another good question. What fabric detergent do you use? Ajax laundry detergent. Must be what you get in the prison. What is your favorite movie line? Of all the gin joints in all the world, well, you know the remainder of the quote, Bogey and Bacall, my father says. 27, are you a morning person or a night person? A smidgen of both. Well, that is very true for me as well. It is both a blessing and a curse. 28, do you have any pets? Yes, but I have not named the mice that run around this place all day long. Can't wait until winter is over so they can go outside again to play. 29, any new and exciting news you'd like to share with family and friends? Yes, it is now spring and the mice are playing outside again. What did you want to be? Number 30, what did you want to be when you were little? A doctor. 31, who were some of your favorite teachers? Answer, Mom and Dad. Alban, mon père, Carol S.A. at St. John's, which was a boarding school, private men's boarding school, I believe. Robert Bishop, Ph.D. at the Penn Medical School. Aaron Archie Feinstein, doctor of osteopathy, known as Uncle Archie. Bill Snake Eyes Dickerson, doctor of osteopathic medicine, and Tito Gus Ranieri, hopefully not related to Keith Raniere, Uncle Ted. And number 32 says, enough already. Enough already. There you go. So this was accompanying in a letter from 2005. And now I should find said letter. I think. A lot of these have been picked through when I made my film of Murder in Mansfield. And let's see. Oh, no, we read this one already, right? Oh, no. Look at this. Oh, man. Yeah, I might not read that one. That's an interesting one. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is the accompanying. Okay, this is the accompanying. All right, this is the accompanying letter to said questionnaire. So it says Huntsville in the morning sunshine, which is this is a picture of the rockets at the Huntsville NASA campus, air and space. Yeah. Wednesday evening, May 18th, 2005. Dear Bumper. So that is, for those of you that don't know, that knew here, my father has always called me Bumper. That was my nickname growing up. Thought I would drop you a quick note as to follow up to my last letter. I received a letter from Chrissy that she wrote on Sunday night, May 8th. It contains some interesting things you should be aware of. And before I get into the letter, we're going to just take a quick break for one of our sponsors. Mover Nation, you guys all know how I lead a really busy life, right? And I know we could all use a little more relaxation. Now, whether you're trying to chill out or just need a good night's rest, NextEvo's CBD will be your best friend. But, and this is big, not all CBD products are created equal. Shockingly, a study found that many CBD brands contain as little as 60% of what their labels promise. I've been trying out NextEvo Naturals and Movers. It's the real deal. And their commitment? Well, it's giving you exactly what's on the label. Remember, they've undergone 4 clinical trials, a feat unmatched by any other brand of CBD. Now, I personally adore their Stress CBD Complex gummies. When I'm feeling anxious or overwhelmed, they are a total game changer. And those nights when sleep is all too elusive for me, the triple action CBD sleep does absolute wonders. Leave summer stress behind and upgrade your CBD. Go to nextevo.com/MPT to get 25% off plus a free bottle of premium pure CBD, a $50 value, limit 1 use per customer. That's nextevo.com/MPT. Thank you very much for that moment from our sponsor, NextEvo Naturals, NextEvo CBD. That stuff's fantastic. I keep it right here on my desk. I take it. It has really helped with my back and really helped with when I'm feeling anxious. And these are really cool. I think I've shown this before. These are little travel packets they have. So I throw these in my gym bag or, well, you can't really see it. But anyways, the camera's not focusing on it. But they're really, really cool. You kind of throw them in. Put them with an emergency if you take your vitamin C, et cetera, et cetera. I take them when I travel. It's really great. Really great, especially when I'm feeling anxious. Like I said, I can sometimes get a little anxious on the airplanes. So I try to take that. Anyways, to answer your question, Bumper like the Rabbit and Bambi. No, the Rabbit and Bambi was Thumper. So no, not like the Rabbit and Bambi. Bumper was my nickname that I would literally refer to nose. I grew up the first 4 years of my life on a naval base. So the airplanes I would refer to the nose cone as the bumper. I think I've talked about this before. So I would refer to the nose cone and call it a bumper, bumper, bumper. I was a little kid. That's so the story goes, right? Anyways, to the letter we go. Dear Bumper, thought I would drop you a quick note as a follow-up to my last letter. I received a letter from Chrissy, who is my half-sister, who was born 12 days before my father was arrested, by the way. Chrissy, that she wrote on Sunday night, May 8th. It contains some interesting things you should be aware of. Chrissy told me that she is text messaging with you, as you had said in your letter. She said that when you called the Zieglers to tell them you were going to visit Mansfield in July, they called Sherry, and they all went out to lunch the next day. Chrissy tells me, innocently, that Sherry was always asking her what she and you talk about. Chrissy tells her we talk about everything, which obviously annoys Sherry. So after the luncheon with George and Susan, Chrissy asked Sherry what they talked about, and Sherry responded, we talk about everything. So the bottom line is my suspicions that I had told you in my letter. Sherry is on the hunt for information, so your questions and information must be done with extreme caution, okay? And now that includes George and Susan, apparently. Do not scare her away or we are going to lose out. This is interesting. So my father is trying to take a sort of stance on like not being, trying to create, so, here we go. So breaking down these letters for everyone. So my father always has like this, and throughout all the letters and through everything, all my contact with him over the years has always been smoke screens of like conspiracy theories, right? And I feel like a lot of people who are to use the parlance of our time, narcissists or have narcissistic personality disorder when you're dealing with, and again, I'm just a guy who's been through a lot of shit. I am not somebody I'm not here to professionally diagnose anyone, but having dealt with this man for 30 years, I know a lot about it. And one of the things is they will often find ways to, quote, isolate you, right? So now it's going to be our little secret. Like, don't let anyone else into our little world. I'm going to let you know that this is what you're up against, and it's our little thing. And it becomes very divisive, and it is a way for them to isolate you from other family members and create distrust, create dissension in the ranks, if you will. And so my father was always sort of creating this sort of narrative that it was like us against the world. Unite against a common enemy is always a theme that they try to do, like, oh, we're together, we're going to do this. And it's a way, again, that they sort of insulate you from the rest of the world or plant these seeds of distrust in you about the other people that are around you in your life. Whether or not those people have any nefarious, obviously my adopted parents have nothing have no agenda whatsoever, right? And but trying to frame it in that such of sow those seeds of discord is very interesting. So that to me, is a very, very common trait that, like, when I share these letters, that you guys can recognize, because I think we can all think about situations that we've been in with individuals, whether they've been family members, whether they've been parental figures, whether they have been a spouse or a loved one, or it's a partner, a relationship, or even a friendship, where you have this this group, and they try to sort of the word that I'm searching for is they create this division, but there is a word for it. I'm trying to grab it out of the ether. Sometimes grammatical decay sets in, but and I'm sure somebody will pop in the comments and say and tell me what it is that I'm thinking of. But basically, they just try to create dissension in the ranks, and they try to God, what is the word I'm looking for? I cannot believe this. It's not control. It is, it's not grooming. It's, I'll think of it in a second. It'll come to me. It'll come to me after the live, probably. Anyways, so that is a very familiar theme. So now I'm sure he's going to go into this sort of altruistic thing after he's warning me to be cautious with what I say. Yeah, isolation, I think, alienation, alienation, control. They're all things, but that's not the word I'm looking for. I can't remember what it was, because I was using it to describe somebody the other day and what they were doing. Oh, I'm so terrible. Like I said, grammatical decay is set in. So it says, do not scare her away or we are going to lose out. So I want to have you and Chrissy come and visit me this summer. You will be able to bring her in because she is under 18, but you both are on my visit list. Sherry is not. Chrissy also told me of an incident last week when Chrissy, Sherry, Charlotte, and Natalie, which is her younger sister, all went out to a card store outlet somewhere. I don't know what a card store outlet is. Gaslighting is also part of it too. I can't. Triangulation. That's it. They triangulate. It's called triangulation. That's what I was looking for. And maybe I'm misusing the term, but that was the word I'm looking at. Yes, basically divide and conquer, Kathleen Welsh. You're right. Absolutely. A woman came up to Sherry, whom she did not recognize or know, and asked Sherry, "Is this the baby?" Quote. Sherry was thinking the woman knew her and Mike, which was her husband at the time. The baby, Natalie, has short brown hair, brown straight hair. The woman then asked Sherry, "Do you hear from the doctor?" Chrissy said Sherry was stunned and did not know what to say. Then Sherry pointed to Chrissy, and the woman caught on. The woman started to remark how pretty and tall Chrissy was, how curly her hair was, etc., etc. Then the woman hugged her and started to cry. Then the woman departed. Who knows what that was about? Perhaps an old patient, a sympathizer, etc. Who knows, but I view it as another person who believes in me. Maybe Chrissy has already told you the story. Well, I will close this for the moment. I wanted to tell you about the incidents with Sherry and her, quote, interest. Stay safe and alert. Stay healthy. There are better days ahead. Love and miss ya. My love to, well, my girlfriend at the time. XXO. Oh, daddy. Oh, boy. So, okay. Of course, there's like a little zinger, right, that you got to throw in at the end here, which is who knows what it was about. Perhaps it was an old patient, a sympathizer, etc. Who knows? But I view it as another person who believes in me. So again, my father is using this in a way to, proclaim his innocence. And it was one of the things I've talked about, and I will continue to talk about it. And every time I share these letters, I say it. But my father had, for the entirety of my life, has gaslighted me as if everything that I heard as a child, and as you guys watch the beginning of the show, I always put the little thing on with me testifying at trial, etc., etc. I witnessed everything happen. I heard it happen. No one believed me except for one detective. And then things progressed as they did. My father is incarcerated because of this, etc., etc. There is no amount of gaslighting that my father has ever been able to do to me that has ever made me feel that I did not hear what I heard that night that he took my mother's life. None whatsoever. I feel bad for him. And I know that might come as a shock to a lot of people. I feel bad because I feel that his decision-making is very, very poor. And he really, really screwed up his life. And he screwed up, obviously parts of my life. And I've done my best to recover from that. My sister's life, my half-sister's life, my adopted sister's life, many, many lives, many communities. And this is why I do this program. This is why I talk to you guys about this all the time, because when you examine the consequences of violence, they're very, as I say, the spires go out and it's a very far-reaching the impacts of violence, and it's not necessarily a very, we don't realize how far these permeate into our culture, into our society, into our communities, into the lives of our friends and family. Like, we just don't realize it. And oftentimes we don't realize it until it's too late, or until it has so affected us for so long. And then you just sort of come out of it and you just go, wow, that happened. And it's an unfortunate thing. It's a lot. It's a lot to process, to deal with, to think about, but it's something to recognize, right? That, and we talk about moving past trauma, right? Is understanding these things. And, and this also, is sort of, I think a lot of people, I do talk a lot about on this program about the consumption of true crime and obsession with true crime stories and things of that nature. And you got to be careful on how these things, affect you, and always taking time for yourself and taking time for your mental health, because the world is a beautiful and wonderful place, and we don't always want to think it's big and scary, and we don't want to allow people to triangulate our friends and allow situations to happen where we are manipulated to believe certain things, whether that be by, control figures in our life, whether that be by, crooked politicians, whether that be by, individuals, corporations, et cetera, mass media, whatever you have it, or even YouTubers. Not all, there's good ones out there, obviously, but there is, it's a lot to think about. And it's a lot to watch out for. But again, life is a very beautiful thing. So I digress on that point. I could read another one of these, or we could talk about, I've devoted a little bit of time yesterday, and this whole thing with there's been more fallout from this whole, I don't know if you would really call it fallout. There's been a lot of, there's been a new wrinkle in this whole Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis saga. So I don't know if you guys caught this, but yesterday, the Securities and Exchange Commission fined Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, their production company, which is Mila's company, $1 million because they were making they were doing a cartoon show, and they had a bunch of people involved. They're celebrities. They have friends that are actors and voiceover actors, and they can make cartoons, and they have production companies. That's what they do, right? They did they were going to do a television show, a cartoon called Stoner Cats, about cats that smoke medical marijuana. And they were doing the Stoner Cat show, and of course, like any millennial, like any elder millennial, cuspy millennial, any person that is trying to just ride the gravy train of the new economy, they sold NFTs. And if you guys do not know what NFTs are called non-fungible tokens. There are many YouTubers that have done this. Very famously, Logan Paul offered NFTs and was a big purveyor of those as his wares. And it's all part of cryptocurrency. A lot of NFTs, and I can get into it because I know quite a bit about cryptocurrency, probably not as much as I should, but also I don't really care. But basically they're digital collectibles in a lot of ways, is what a lot of people group NFTs put NFTs in that sort of like group, right? That category. It's not really what they are. That is it's a utility type of thing. It's like an NFT can be, if you think about it, it can, a lot of times it can have a collectible attached to it, but a lot of times it's almost like having a membership to a club, right? So NFTs can be used as something as simple as having a QR code on your phone and going into a place instead of having an actual membership card, et cetera, et cetera. There's different ways that they can act. It's called a non-fungible token. Anyways, they all exist in what's called Web 3 plane. We live in the Web 2 plane. That's where we are now. Web 3 is the future, et cetera, et cetera. But they were doing this cartoon, and just yesterday, the SEC fined them $1 million because they said they sold $8 million worth of these NFTs to fund this project that they have not gone off the ground yet. And it's been since I believe they started selling the NFTs in 2021. So basically the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, came down on them and said, no. So now they've made them put $1 million into a fund to offer restitution for the people that they, for lack of a better word, victimized or took their money. But $1 million fine does not equal $8 million that was spent by people. So this is going to be really, really interesting because I feel like this is all fallout from these. And yes, you could say the timing is suspect. And yeah, maybe I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I find the timing very coincidental with them writing these letters on behalf of Danny Masterson to basically ask for leniency in his sentencing. And now they've got this fine from the SEC for creating this I don't want to call it a scam, but I think that they genuinely believe that they were doing something positive, but they ripped people off. People lost money, and now they've been fined because they were found to have done something illegal. And they are not the first, and they will not be the last. The people have used NFTs and cryptocurrency for all kinds of nefarious things. Look at Sam Bankman-Fried, who is literally, uh, you know, $22 billion or something. I mean, something absurd. That might be hyperbolic. It was a lot of money. Celebrities were roped into his FTX exchange. I don't know where his whole trial thing stands, but he's facing like 1,000,000 years in prison at 30 years old, or defrauding people, and just that's a whole just very insane thing. This is much more benign than that, but still defrauding people of money or getting them to put money in a concept that never happened. So now they've been smacked with a fine, but the timing is very, very interesting. So we'll see where all that goes, just because I almost feel like that could be a retaliatory thing. I don't know. It's very interesting. This is I think a week ago, none of us ever thought about any of this happening. I certainly didn't. I didn't think two thoughts about these people. Never had a problem with them, et cetera, et cetera. But now there's been also this recounting of this, one of the women in the Danny Masterson suit, whose case was, the jury was deadlocked on, so they did not find for her. She was the third Jane Doe, but she was public about her Jane Doe. She had a relationship with him, and the court did not find that she was R-worded by Masterson because they were in a relationship. Whatever that, I won't even get into the semantics of that, but she obviously was very angry about that, and rightfully so, I think. And they definitely are facing a lot of backlash because of coming to his aid. But she released some very cryptic statements on her Instagram last Friday as well, which have read, I should try to pull this up for you guys to share. So basically what she is alluding to is, there was an incident on the night of February 21st, 2001, where Ashton Kutcher had arrived at his girlfriend or somebody who he was dating at the time. Yeah, here we go. Of course, you type it into Google and it comes right up. This woman was killed. And he testified at the murder trial. Here we go. So Danny Masterson's accuser reveals dark Ashton Kutcher secret, and because he wrote in the letter that Danny Masterson was a mentor, she wrote, "You're as sick as your mentor." In fact, we're going to put this up here. What did you say, Wilmer Valderrama? I don't know anything about Wilmer Valderrama. I did work with him though. During the pandemic? No, it was the year before the pandemic. He was very nice to me. Very nice. He's Chilean, I believe. He was very nice and very. I was actually shocked that he was working with this production because it was so rinky-dink. Like they did not have their act together at all. They had some good people involved. But I was very surprised. But I was Was I the DP on that project? Yeah, I was the DP on that project. Yeah. Anyways, so I was shooting, and it was very interesting. Oh no, I wasn't. I was assisting the DP. I was doing lighting. Anyways, and here giving it away in the comments. You guys are chatting away, but yeah, this is a little interesting because I find it. I hate all these ads. Is there a way to get rid of this? Let's just get to there we go. All right, perfect. Danny Masterson's accuser reveals dark Ashton Kutcher secret. You're as sick as your mentor, because he referred to Danny Masterson as his mentor in the letter. So she came out and retaliated, which, I don't blame her if she feels that there's a thing. I see how I make the font bigger so I can read it without glasses. Isn't this great? Ashton Kutcher's involvement in the 2001 murder investigation of Ashley Alerin has resurfaced amidst backlash over his support for convicted R-word Danny Masterson. The actor and his wife, Mila Kunis, apologized after letters they wrote on behalf of Masterson were made public. One of Masterson's accusers, Chrissy Carnelli Bixler, took to social media to call out Kutcher, saying, "Dear Ashton, I know the secrets your, quote, role model keeps for you, ones that would end you. Did you forget I was there?" Speculation began about Kutcher's actions on February 21st, 2001, the day Ellerin was murdered. "You were on speakerphone that night. You called Danny on February 21st, 2001. I hear everything. I heard the plan. In my opinion, you're just as sick as your mentor," Chrissy posted. Now, Kutcher was a witness in the trial of Ellerin's murder. Of Ellerin's murderer, Michael Gargiulo, whatever. Michael G, we'll call him. He testified that he had plans to go on a date with Ellerin that night and called her twice but received no answer. When he arrived at her home, he peered through the window and saw that what he believed to be a wine stain on her carpet. He believed at that point that he had been stood up, said the Deputy District Attorney, Dan Ackerman. "We believe now that the evidence will show there was actually blood and Ashley had already been murdered." Ashton has been called into question. So, of course, whatever you feel about this situation, I am not somebody who likes to dive down into conspiracy theories. But, of course, this is what's going to happen when you go to support someone publicly. Well, you didn't intend for it to be public, but you should have known better because you've been in the entertainment industry for 25 years. You know that you can't keep any secrets in this town. Like, let's keep it real. I've worked in Hollywood for almost 20 years. You can't keep any secrets around here. The fact that you would, post these, send these letters to the judge asking for leniency on this guy. And now there's this whole thing of, now this has all come to light again. Now people are speculating. And of course they are. It's like, what did you expect? Like, what do you expect, bro? Come on, man. Of course this is going to happen. I mean, he hasn't spoken out about this as far as I know. Maybe he has. You guys can write in the comments. Perhaps he has spoken about this, but I'll tell you, it is like super, super disturbing, and super disturbing for him to be involved in this. And I do remember him being at the trial testifying, but oh man, it is just a real big problem. They have gotten themselves into a lot of hot water, unnecessary hot water. You just say, "Hey man, good luck to you. Good luck to you in the sentencing. We're here for you. We'll come visit you. We'll support you that way, but we're not writing letters on your behalf." Because at the end of the day, they don't do any good. They really don't do any good. Like, the judge felt in a lot of ways, and I'll tell you a funny story. So does anyone out here watch Popcorn Planet, the YouTube channel? Because I have a really funny story about that. So Popcorn Planet became, it's a YouTube channel. It's Andy Signaro, Andy, who does Popcorn Planet. They really rose to prominence covering the Johnny Depp trial. And I got a phone call yesterday from a good friend of mine who's a producer. I did 4 seasons of television with this guy. It's my friend James. James was a producer on 2 shows that I did. One was called Super Fan Builds, and which I for those of you that I guess I don't really ever talk about my entertainment background, but I've done a lot of work in a very compressed amount of time while I was making a Murder in Mansfield. Yeah, I did a show, and I actually used to share a studio with Grant Imahara. If you guys know him who passed away, he was from Mythbusters. But we had all done these shows together, and one of them was Super Fan Builds. But another show that I did was called Pool Kings, and I did Supersize My Pool with Mario Lopez. And so my friend was a producer on these shows, and he would hire me as a DP and a camera operator, et cetera, et cetera. So he calls me yesterday, and he sends me a message, and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "Oh, I don't even have my phone on me. How do I not have my phone at my desk? What kind of person am I? So he text messages me yesterday, and he says, "Hey, my buddy is coming in from Florida. And he's looking for a guy to shoot some stuff with him, and his name is Andy." And so I call him up, and we start talking. He's looking to shoot stuff for a podcast, and unfortunately, I couldn't help him out because I will be at CrimeCon in Orlando, Florida. So we started chatting, and I said, "Well, what's your YouTube channel?" What does he say? Popcorn Planet. Hilarious. So I was on the phone with Andy from Popcorn Planet. So we were chatting around it. We might do some work together later, but I couldn't help him out this time around. But yeah, I was going to work with him, which was kind of really funny because I literally just watched the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard docuseries that was on, what was it, on Netflix? Or yeah, it was on Netflix, which is actually really well done, by the way. But I was definitely like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I go over to his channel and he is interviewing a lawyer who is sharing with the fact, and this all relates to the Ashton Kutcher, Danny Masterson, and Michigas that's happening. Let me just go back so you guys can see me full screen. So he says to me, I'm watching his channel, and he's got a great video, and he's interviewing this guy who is talking about, and this was something that was tried, that the defense for Danny Masterson tried in 2020, and May of 2020, and the judge ruled it out. But basically, it was a statute of limitations on the filing of charges against him. So now what they are saying is, this lawyer was not arguing because he really hopes this doesn't happen, but he said that one of the reasons why Danny Masterson was so smug in the courtroom was because he felt, and his lawyers felt, that he will get out of prison, that he will have the charges dropped, not because he is innocent, but because of a statute of limitations to file the charges. But again, this was argued in court in 2020, but they are saying that it's going to come up for appeal in the next year or two. And it's something to watch out for. So Andy was talking about this on the thing. So I had caught it because I went over to his channel. I was like, oh, let me check out this dude's channel again, because I had seen him on the thing, and we talked a little bit about the Depp trial and all that. And his he used to do true crime content. Now he does pop culture type stuff. So we talked about that a little bit. I told him I was doing the podcast with Tara Newell, which, by the way, today is release day for Survivor Squad. We interviewed Jane Borowski, who is a survivor of the Connecticut River Valley serial killer. She was his, as far as they know, last known victim. She hosts a podcast called Invisible Tears, and she also hosts the new podcast out from Crawl Space Media called Dark Valley. How is that a good plug for them? That is fantastic. I will be, Tara and I will both be at CrimeCon, and we will be on Podcast Row next to Crawl Space Media and Jane Borowski. But check out the episode. It's called Surviving a Serial Killer. Part 1 is today. Part 2 is tomorrow. Or if you're on our Patreon, you get to have both Part 1 and Part 2 today on release day. We release new episodes of Survivor Squad every Thursday and Friday. New episodes of the audio version of this podcast come out on Saturdays, Moving Past Trauma. And then you have the YouTube channel here. That's my shameless plug for the day. But anyways, yeah, really interesting about this Danny Masterson thing, and I'm going to keep a close eye on that, because I just, look, I know there are a lot of people that are very involved with that are very interested in the organization that he was involved in, the Scientology organization, and all of that. I am not somebody who really delves down into those things, because I just, there's plenty of other channels that have a lot better coverage of that type of thing, and that really want to get into it, because that is a rabbit hole that I don't really want to go down. I watched the series with Leah Remini. I have a tendency to go down rabbit holes. That is a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down or start to even delve into on this channel. But you can check out my my good friend Andrew Gold's channel. He talks about it on The Edge with Andrew Gold. There's another guy who does Growing Up Scientology, I believe, or something like that. You guys can check out their stuff if you want to talk about that. I'm not really interested in it. But it is a very fascinating organization, that is for sure. But let the conspiracy theories run wild on that. So I'll keep you guys posted on what I find out about that. But that would be really, I mean, I look at this, I don't really care about Scientology or any of that stuff. I care about the fact that these victims are just when you think justice is done, there's another legal loophole. And this reminds me of something that I had played a couple of weeks ago. I had found a podcast with my father, and my father was talking about technicalities. And this is why I was so angered last week by this book coming out by this clerk of courts in the Murdaugh trial. Because, again, her and her co-author, everybody keeps calling him a ghostwriter. His name is on the front cover of the book. He's not a ghostwriter. Ghostwriters, you don't know who they are. They don't put their names on books. That's why they're called ghostwriters. He's her co-author. And Neil Gordon, and I found him to be very indignant in his interviews that he feels he hasn't done anything wrong. It's like, dude, you guys rushed to put this book out, and now you've put a conviction in jeopardy, which is a real shame. And so I'm not a big fan of that. However, and again, I look at it with the unique lens and perspective of a victim, survivor, witness to violent crime, as somebody who had to be, traumatized over and over again about this during the trial, et cetera, in my own life, and really knowing what that is like for people to go through. So the fact that these victims who thought that they had found justice, these two Jane Does who had gotten some respite, if you will, and maybe a bit of just hope that the justice system works in their favor and not everybody can get out of it. If this ends up working out that he could get off for another technicality, is really a shame. And that's what I was concerned with the Murdaugh thing too, with this book. And like I said, again, now you have a family, a community, everybody being re-traumatized again. That's the lens with which I view all of these things in. But that's why you come here, for my unique perspective. But guys, Mover Nation, it is not all about me and what I think. I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below, in the live chat. You guys are going back and forth. It always generates a completely interesting and fascinating conversation, because I learned so much from you guys. You guys helped me figure out triangulation today, so I really appreciate it. I wanted to give a big shout out to all of my channel members here on YouTube. I want to give a shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, none of this is possible. And to my subscribers and all of you guys who tune in to listen to me ramble on for an hour and change. By the way, Ramble On, fantastic. Probably one of my absolute favorite Led Zeppelin songs of all time. Ramble On. Anyways, that was probably a bad, that was a bad rendition, but, Ramble On, fantastic song. I appreciate you guys being here, supporting the channel, sharing the channel, listening to what I have to say, and initiating conversation with, all of you and in your communities, et cetera, et cetera. I really, really appreciate everyone. If you wouldn't mind, please click the like and subscribe and hit that alert bell so you are notified when new videos come out on this channel. Mover Nation, another one is in the books today. Thank you all so much. I'm Collier Landry. This is Moving Past Trauma. Thanks, y'all.
This podcast is made possible by support from listeners just like you. For exclusive content around this podcast, please consider supporting me via Patreon by going to collierlandry.com/support. Please subscribe via Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from, and please leave us a 5-star review. If you want to see video episodes of this podcast, please check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Collier Landry. You can find links to additional resources in the show notes of today's episode. This podcast is a production of Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Collier Landry.